The wind howled through the broken, jagged teeth of the Manhattan skyline, carrying the scent of wet ash and rotting meat. It was November 2002. The chill coming off the Hudson River was merciless, biting through the glass of the luxury apartment on the 42nd floor. Inside, the silence was louder than the sirens that had finally stopped wailing 2 days ago. Nuz Kennedy stood before the floor-to-ceiling window, the condensation from his breath fogging the view of a city that had eaten itself alive. He wiped the glass with a forearm. Down on Fifth Avenue, gridlocked yellow taxis looked like toy cars scattered by a tantrum. Between them, small dark shapes shambled aimlessly. They were the slow ones. The fast ones were already hiding in the shadows of the lobbies, waiting for the sun to dip behind the Jersey horizon. Nuz turned away from the window. He didn't look like a child anymore. The baby fat had melted off his face in the week since the outbreak began, leaving his brown skin taut over his cheekbones and his dark eyes hard, devoid of the panic that had consumed the adults. He adjusted the waistband of his cargo pants. They were a size too big, held up by a leather belt he'd punched a new hole into with a steak knife. The pockets were heavy, bulging not with Game Boy cartridges or candy, but with loose 9 rounds, a coil of wire, and a lighter. He walked to the kitchen island. The granite countertop was spotless, except for a single sheet of heavy, expensive stationery. He didn't need to read it again. He had memorized the hasty scrawl of his mother's handwriting and the ink blot where his father's pen had paused. "Stay here, Nuz. It's safer. We have to secure seats on the chopper. We'll come back for you, we promise." They had left 3 days ago. The helicopter pad was only 6 blocks away. Nuz had watched the chopper lift off through this very window. He had watched it bank east toward the ocean, carrying the people who were supposed to protect him. They hadn't come back. They weren't coming back. He picked up the note, his fingers trembling not from fear, but from a cold, sharp anger that settled in his gut like a swallowed stone. He flicked the lighter. The flame caught the corner of the paper. He held it until the fire licked his fingertips, then dropped the burning lie into the sink, watching it turn to black ash. "I don't need you," he whispered. The sound of his own voice was jarring in the dead apartment. He checked his gear. The black t-shirt he wore was tight, allowing him to move without snagging on door handles or debris. He reached for the Glock 17 resting on the dining table. It had been his father's, a just-in-case piece kept in a biometric safe that Nuz had cracked by using a piece of tape to lift a fingerprint from his dad's Scotch glass. The metal was cold. He ejected the magazine, counted the rounds, 12, and slammed it back in. He racked the slide. The mechanical clack-clack was the only reassuring sound left in the world. On his belt, sheathed in makeshift cardboard and duct tape, sat a 10-inch chef's knife. Guns ran out of bullets. Steel didn't run out of edge. His stomach growled, a painful twisting knot. The pantry was empty. The high-end fridge contained only a bottle of spoiling white wine and a jar of capers. He had scavenged everything else. If he wanted to live, he had to leave the penthouse. He had to descend. Nuz walked to the front door. He pressed his ear against the heavy wood, nothing but the low hum of the building settling. He unlocked the deadbolt, the tumblers clicking like thunder in the quiet. He opened the door an inch. The hallway was dim, the emergency lights casting long, sickly yellow shadows. The carpet, once plush and beige, was stained with dark, dried trails that led toward the stairwell. He stepped out, the Glock raised. His sneakers squeaked softly. He froze. 30 feet away, near the elevator bank, a figure stood facing the wall. It was Mr. Henderson from 42B. He was wearing his expensive Italian suit, the jacket torn at the shoulder. He was rhythmically banging his forehead against the marble wall. Thump, thump, thump. Nuz took a breath, holding it in his lungs. He needed to get to the stairwell, but Henderson was blocking the path. He took a step. A floorboard creaked. The thumping stopped. Mr. Henderson turned. His face was gone, replaced by a ruin of torn flesh and teeth. His eyes were clouded with a milky, violent film. A low, wet gurgle rose from his throat, and he lunged. Nuz didn't scream. He didn't freeze. He remembered the helicopter flying away. He remembered the burning note. He stepped into the anger. He raised the gun, his arms locked straight the way he'd seen on TV, adjusting for the weight. Eviction time, Nuz muttered. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed hall, a thunderclap that rang in his ears. Mr. Henderson crumpled backward, sliding down the marble wall. Nuz didn't wait to see the body settle. The sound would attract more. The elevator dinged softly behind him, a mechanical ghost trying to function. The stairs were his only way down, 42 floors of darkness into the belly of a dead city.